Hi, this is Steven Horne, and today we're going to talk about hormonal health, about how the glandular system functions. Now, the glandular system consists of the endocrine glands, which are glands that secrete hormones into the blood that are then picked up by cells and alter cellular processes. There are seven major endocrine glands, the pineal and pituitary, which are located up at the base of the brain, the thyroid in the throat, the thymus in the chest, the pancreas and adrenals, which are located around the area of the solar plexus, and also the ovaries or testes, depending on whether you're male or female. Now, the glandular system is part of the control system of the body. So this includes the nervous system and the glands. Basically, this is what regulates the different processes of the body and keeps the body working harmoniously together. So the glandular system is controlled from the nervous system via the brain through what's called the limbic system. And the hypothalamus, which is a stalk of the brain on which the pituitary gland sits. And this regulates the pituitary hormones, which are the primary regulators of the hormones from all the other glands. So the hypothalamus secretes hormones that then are taken to the pituitary, which then trigger the pituitary to put hormones in the blood that stimulate other glands to produce their hormones. There are basically two kinds of hormones. There's those that are based on amino acids, which are called amine hormones, and most of the glands secrete amino-based hormones. So these are the pineal, pituitary, thyroid, thymus, pancreas, and the adrenal medulla, the center part of the adrenal gland. The adrenal cortex, the outer part of the adrenal gland, secretes steroidal hormones, and also the reproductive glands, the ovaries and testes, do the same thing. So your steroidal hormones are all based on cholesterol, and so they're a fatty-based hormone. Just as neurotransmitters transmit messages from one cell to another in the nervous system, hormones transmit messages from the glands to the different cells in the body. The amine hormones have receptor sites on the surface of the cell, much like neurotransmitters, that when they attach to the receptor site on the surface of the cell, it basically triggers a change in the cell membrane and the cell function, such as insulin causing the cell to take up sugar. Your steroidal hormones, however, being a fatty kind of hormone, actually pass through the cell membrane into the inner part of the cell, and there they bind to receptor sites within the cell, and then the new compound that's formed by the joining of the receptor and the hormone moves into the nucleus of the cell and influences how the DNA and RNA are read to influence the cellular mechanisms on that level. And just like you can have mimics of neurotransmitters, you can have mimics of hormones. The medical profession uses a lot of synthetic hormones, which are similar in molecular structure to the actual hormones of the body, but are not the same as those hormones, and then they will attach to those receptor sites, either stimulating or inhibiting them. Your steroidal hormones are all based on cholesterol. So this is a little chart that shows you the how cholesterol is converted to pregnenolone in the adrenal glands, and then pregnenolone is produced into progesterone or DHEA. DHEA is the most abundant hormone in the human body, and it's used in the ovaries and testes, and also to a lesser degree in the adrenal glands, to produce your estrogens and androgens, your testosterone and estrogen forms that regulate the reproductive activities and the sexual characteristics. Progesterone, on the other hand, is used to make aldosterone and the corticosteroids, the cortisol, which regulates inflammation. When you're under a lot of stress, your pregnenolone primarily goes over to making progesterone and cortisol, and that reduces your sexual hormones, which is why adaptogens or remedies that calm down the stress response or help to increase DHEA can be beneficial for the reproductive system. Now, all of these hormones function on what are called axes, and the axes basically work like this. As I mentioned, the hypothalamus sends a message to the pituitary, which then releases the hormones into the blood, like the TSH, which stimulates the thyroid, or the growth hormone, which stimulates the IGF-1 in the liver. And as the levels of the hormone that is produced, like the testosterone or estrogen or cortisol, rise in the blood, the brain detects that, and the hypothalamus stops sending the message. So it works kind of like a teeter-totter. As the level of one hormone rises, it increases the level of the other hormone, which then depresses the level of the first hormone in the body. It tries to maintain a very delicate balance through this feedback system, which is called a hormonal axis. So in talking about the glands, you really have to understand a little bit about the individual glands, because they all do so many different things, and there are different remedies that work with the different glands. So we're not going to cover all of them. We're going to cover the most important ones, starting with the thyroid, which regulates your metabolism. I think of the thyroid as the gas pedal on your car. It says how fast or slow your metabolism is going to run to basically keep you warm. It causes fat to burn. It's the thyroid hormone triggers the combustion of fats, because iodine is helps to make fats broken down so that they can be combusted, which is the iodine is a principal part of the thyroid hormone. Related to the thyroid are these little glands called the parathyroid, which regulate calcium and phosphorus levels in the body. One of the main symptoms of low thyroid, therefore, is getting cold. In other words, a low body temperature is often a sign of a low thyroid function. Your pancreatic hormones are insulin and glucagon. Insulin basically takes excess sugar in the blood and removes it and puts it into storage in the liver primarily. Glucagon brings that sugar back out of storage to help the blood sugar rise. So the purpose of the pancreatic hormones is basically to regulate blood sugar levels. And these act on a hormonal axis or teeter-totter. Insulin suppresses glucagon, glucagon suppresses insulin. So high insulin levels, interestingly enough, can actually drive blood sugar levels low, causing hypoglycemia, because the glucagon, which brings the sugar back out of storage, is suppressed. The adrenal axis is also known as the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And it is initiated by the perception of danger or stress, which causes the brain to signal the hypothalamus to release a hormone that goes to the pituitary and releases the adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH for short, which stimulates the adrenals to produce cortisol. Meanwhile, through the nervous system, the adrenal glands are also encouraged to produce epinephrine, and epinephrine and cortisol basically give you that response that you have when you feel startled or scared, the fight, flight, or freeze response. We need to talk a little bit about one of the problems that is affecting reproductive hormones, which is xenoestrogens. These are environmental toxins that act as estrogen mimics, meaning they are like synthetic estrogens that basically disrupt hormonal problems. And they're responsible for a lot of health problems in both men and women. In men, they're responsible for prostate problems, infertility, low sperm count, erectile dysfunction, possibly weight gain, and the increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. In women, they are responsible for an increased risk of breast cancer. In fact, they're probably the primary cause of breast cancer, but also uterine cancers, also uterine fibroids. They're probably the main contributor to the development of uterine fibroids and possibly endometriosis. They also can cause type A PMS, which is PMS associated with anger and anxiety and irritability. in your lifestyle analysis, you have a lot of questions that are related to the glandular system as a whole. And to help a little bit with being able to differentiate these, I've actually laid out on the slides here which of these relate to which glands. So for example, the problems of the monthly cycle would be, of course, the reproductive glands. Alcohol affects both the adrenals and the pancreas. Mood swings could be the thyroid, the pancreas, or the adrenals. Poor memory or concentration would be thyroid and adrenals. A stressful lifestyle primarily affects the adrenals. Skin problems are usually related to imbalances of the thyroid or reproductive hormones. The craving for sweets and processed foods is an indication of problems with the pancreas and blood sugar levels. Feeling low or apathetic, a kind of feeling down, not having the energy you want, is thyroid and adrenals, and so forth. So you can kind of, by understanding a little bit about what glands these questions relate to, you may be able to use the lifestyle analysis to actually kind of figure out not just that you need to work on the glandular system in general, but that you need to work on specific glands. And there's a lot of questions related to the glandular system, so there's plenty of questions to help you access both things, because here on the second slide you have things like lack of stamina, which is the thyroid and adrenals, slow recovery, edgy, sleepy when sitting, lack of appetite, coffee or caffeine adversely affects the adrenals, so that's on there, and then insufficient exercise affects the entire endocrine system. One of the products that you can use as kind of a general tonic to the glandular system is Master Gland. So I was working for Nature Sunshine back when we first created the lifestyle analysis, and we created the whole idea of key systems products. And we didn't have a key system product for the glandular system. We had products for individual glands, but we didn't have products for the glandular system as a whole. So Mark Pedersen, who was working in the formulation department, talked with me, and we came up with the idea of putting together a formula that would have herbs in it that would affect most of the glands. So, licorice root, for example, is good for the adrenals. Alfalfa has long been used as a regulator for the pituitary gland. Black walnut is helpful for the thyroid. Eleuthero is an adaptogen. Kelp helps the thyroid. Schizandra helps the adrenals. So you're getting a thing that kind of helps some of the major glands, the pituitary, the thyroid, and the adrenals, to kind of help balance out the overall function of the glandular system. So it's a good general glandular tonic. But I think it's also important to consider with the glandular system using specific herbs and remedies for specific glands. So some of the things that can be helpful for the pituitary include alfalfa, which its high trace mineral content and protein content and vitamin mineral content seems to make it a very good regulator for the pituitary gland. Also, the Chinese herb and mineral blend has quite a few herbs in it that help to balance out the glandular system. So it's kind of your alternative to Master Gland in terms of helping to support the overall glandular function. And then ENRGV also has some benefits for the pituitary. For the thyroid, we have black walnut, which actually helps a lot with most modern thyroid problems. It's an herb I've used quite successfully for thyroid. The kelp and hops combination, which is another thyroid formula, and also zinc, which is necessary for the production of the thyroid hormones. For the pancreas, we have licorice root, which helps to raise low blood sugar. Nopal, which helps to bring down blood sugar that's higher. Phyto soy, because soy protein helps to balance out the blood sugar levels. And the Siberian ginseng, which as an adaptogen has some benefits in helping to normalize blood sugar levels. For the adrenal glands, we have the Chinese herb and mineral blend, which is a really really good formula also for the adrenals. And the adrenals are one of the glands that are majorly impacted in our society because of the tendency we have to have so much stress in our lives. So I really, really like that formula. Also, the ENRGV is also very good for the adrenal glands. Licorice root has a cortisol sparing action, so it helps the adrenal glands in their function of regulating inflammatory processes in the body. And then your Siberian ginseng is an adaptogen, and the Chinese herb and mineral blend has adaptogens in it as well. So either one of these has adaptogen properties. But adaptogens, herbs which help to go into that HPA axis and calm down the production of the stress hormones, which helps to reduce your overall kind of baseline stress level, and also can help to boost your immune system in the process. And I find adaptogens very helpful for many people in modern society. Also, vitamin C is real important for the adrenals. The adrenals are the biggest repositories of vitamin C in the body. Finally, we have the reproductive glands. The reproductive glands include alfalfa, could be very beneficial. Damiana and ginseng is a good general tonic for either male or female reproductive glands. And then we have a couple of things that are specifically helpful for pregnancy, which include nature's prenatal and red raspberry. Red raspberry acts as a tonic to the uterus, and many women have found it very beneficial to take during pregnancy to help have a smoother pregnancy. And of course, it's very important to get adequate nutrition during pregnancy. So nature's prenatal is a really good formula for getting women who are pregnant the nutrients they need to help have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy delivery. So like I said, the glandular system is a little more complex than the other systems. So it takes a little more knowledge to navigate it effectively, but there are still the basic things you can do to basically nourish and support the glands and help to balance them with the various herbs and supplements that are available to us. So I hope that you will take this information and make good use of it in your own life, and also use it to help other people. Thank you.